So before we start chatting, I do just want to acknowledge that I'm zooming in with you today from the lands of the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, and you're calling in from Naarm, is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. So we pay our respects to their elders on all countries, past and present, and to emerging leaders. So Stacy Clausen, congratulations on being one of this year's Rising Stars.
Thank you very much.
Very exciting. So I guess just finding out a little bit about you today. Tell me what got you into acting, and what was some of your first early experiences?
Yeah, well, it was kind of like, it was more of like a natural progression. It wasn't something I was kind of looking to do very early on. I kind of fell into it. My mum and dad put me in these kind of performing arts classes way back in prep, where it was just like improv games, and in like year 5 and 6 we'd write our own plays, and at the end of the year we'd perform them. And I loved that to bits. I had a lot of energy as a kid, a lot of energy that I needed to put somewhere. So I was doing that and I really loved it. And that didn't like continue for older students into high school. So if I kind of wanted to keep doing something like that, I had to find somewhere else. And over the holidays, I went to this summer camp for this. It was called Screen Actors Australia. And it was like on camera craft. And I was like, oh, that could be really interesting. I'll give that a crack. And I ended up going to that summer camp and then joined the classes. And I ended up being there for 5 years, I think, all the way through high school. So, that's kind of how I fell into it. And, I guess early onset experiences. My first job I ever did was it was my first audition, actually. I auditioned for this role, and then they cast me as one of the groupies of this kid on this American series called Preacher that was shooting the 4th season that was shooting here in Melbourne. And it was 2 days work or something, shooting in the Dockland studios. And I just remember it being at 13 years old, there was just so much happening, you know what I mean? This energy constantly moving around, so many different types of people, so many conversations to be had. And it's, like I said, a young kid with a lot of energy. It just kind of felt like the place to be, you know what I mean?
Because it would have been a fairly big set, would it, that one?
Oh, yeah. It was huge. It was huge. I kind of didn't at that point have an idea of how the difference between a small set and a big set, you know what I mean? Yeah. But from having worked on a bunch of things now, looking back at it, it was a big set for sure.
Absolutely. And then you're also cast in Fires. Was that kind of your first kind of experience on an Australian set, and obviously working with Noni Hazelhurst? How was that?
Yeah, that was wild. Again, I was quite young, so I wasn't fathoming who Noni Hazelhurst was at the time. My mum definitely did. She was telling me, you better to her, impress her. It's very cool. But Fires was my first kind of speaking role in a series or a film. And that one, I definitely hold close to my heart. That was a really cool, and to be doing such a special story, you know what I mean? Such a special Australian story, and something that was really important, was really incredible as a first time role. And I got to do some really cool things. My co-star in that episode, Malachi Cruz, he was a deaf actor, and I got to learn a bit of Auslan. I got to learn some sign language, which was a really cool thing. So that, and Michael Reimer, the director of that episode, I've run into him a few times over the years, which is always a good thing to kind of see where we started and where we're at now. But it was really incredible.
Because that's kind of interesting to learn more about acting and communication, that's not just verbal, so that there's body and there's sign language, and that must have been a pretty interesting experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a cool language. I wish I had retained more of it. I really put in a lot of effort to learn stuff outside of the script as well. And unfortunately, I didn't keep it up as much as I should have. But it is like such a beautiful language, and I feel like if everyone on a set spoke Auslan, it would be really efficient. Like if people had to be quiet and speaking across the set, if you could sign something, it
Yeah.
would be so useful. So yeah, it was
Yeah, I
really
like that.
incredible. It was a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. And obviously you had a really great role on Crazy Fun House, which is such a fun thing to watch. What do you think you kind of learnt over those years working on these projects like Crazy Fun House and also, High Country and how do you feel like you're developing as an actor? And what kind of skills and qualities do you feel have been helpful for you?
Yeah, I think yeah, having a few projects under my belt now, I think one of the main things I can't that has changed throughout early on, I feel like the way I was kind of taught was a certain process, a certain way to approach a series or an audition or a character. And I think what I've developed throughout or kind of learned is that there is no one way or one. I feel like a question you get as an actor a lot is like, what's your process? What's the thing you do to get into character? And what I think I've developed the idea is that there is no one way to do it, whether that's pulling from imagination or, you know, pulling from personal experiences. There isn't a correct way to do it, and every role calls for a unique approach. You know what I mean? There's not one thing that you should be doing every time. Some roles are I feel closer to on like a personal level, and they might take a little less preparation just because it's more of an instinctual process rather than building out a backstory to kind of find these emotions that I've never experienced before, kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely think that's the biggest development I've had. I've also just in general found a lot more confidence in my abilities in general. You won't meet an actor who's not self-conscious, you know what I mean? Like, was that a good scene? Like, what does the director think? What does the actor across from me think? But I think now that I've done a few good things, that my confidence in my own abilities and belief in myself has definitely gotten a lot greater, and in turn has improved because if you believe like anything, you believe in yourself, you get the result. So yeah.
Absolutely. And you've got so many opportunities to grow and change as an actor as the years go on. Do you think there was a moment where there was a point where you kind of went, I've always loved acting, it's been fun, but now I can make a career out of this, like this is what I want to do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Have you reached that point that this is what I want to do?
Yeah.
Lots of interest, but at your age, yeah.
I don't know if there was a specific moment that I kind of light bulb, but yeah, it was more of like a slow, just being on those sets. Like one of my favorite things about acting in general was just that this freedom to do whatever you want, this permission to be something maybe you're not allowed to be. Like, if you walk in there, we've all had that moment where you really want to tell someone to just piss off right to their face, right? You can't do that. That's not socially acceptable. But then you're playing this character and you get to scream it in their face. You know what I mean? It's therapeutic. It's beautiful to be able to do that. And I think playing those kind of characters who are a bit more perhaps larger than life, so many different types of characters, that I think is one of the big things that made me fall in love with it initially. And then it was like just spending time on sets, the friends that I get to make, being around so many like-minded people and getting to talk about the things I want to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a community. You're building a community, which is so beautiful about this industry. And just kind of extending on from that, I guess, are there any kind of particular worlds or roles and characters or stories that you would be interested in telling or playing, is sort of moving forward? Is there anything that you've ever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think the characters that kind of interest me are those kind of those gray area characters. You know what I mean? That you can't really be defined as a hero or a villain. I feel like those are what are most interesting, and it's also what's most relevant now. We're like kind of as a society a
Yeah.
lot more open to the idea of imperfection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely those type of characters, morally ambiguous, is something that really interests me, and also characters. I love to be challenged. You know, I look for those roles that scare me a little bit. You know, those roles that, because that's where the most growth is found, I think. Yeah, so whether that's challenging me in terms of time period, doing a period piece maybe, or a role that's super physically demanding and forces me to get my body in some sort of, you know, specific state, those roles are also really, really intriguing to me as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, how fascinating. I love that. And I'm just curious, what kind of things are you interested in outside of acting? Like, what are you passionate about outside of acting?
Yeah, outside of acting, we can see some guitars on my wall
I
here.
can. I was
Yeah,
wondering about that. You
yeah.
obviously play, they're not just for decoration.
Yes, they are. They are indeed for playing. Yeah, music is definitely a big thing for me. My DJing as well. I play clubs in Melbourne and produce kind of techno music and going to festivals. Like music is definitely the biggest thing outside of acting and the industry, I suppose. And yeah, I go to uni for stuff behind the camera as well.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, got my short coming up, which should be fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
creativity in general, I suppose. Anything creative I love to do, but music is definitely a huge one.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anyone sort of that inspires you creatively? I mean, do you come from a creative family, or are there people sort of in the wider world that inspire you?
I I do. My dad is a creative. He works in advertising, and he's the one who helps me with my audition tapes. He reads for me. He kind of understands that process, and he's always got great insight into just how the public perceives things, and great advice on creative direction and things like that. So he's definitely a big one as well. I think wider world, yeah, I'm not sure. A lot of musicians inspire me in my acting as well. I'm a big festival goer. I love my festivals. Watching artists play their show and the energy that they bring to things, that's really inspiring for me, seeing the way they interact with audiences and crowds and things like that. Yeah.
So there's a big performative element there as well when you're on stage, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And likewise with the whole being interested in music things, getting to do that myself and perform in front of a crowd. Yeah, I think it's all about harnessing the energy of it. And that was a big thing that one of my acting mentors was like big on, was like bring energy to everything, even if it's, you know, a quiet little scene. There's energy just rolling down underneath the surface. So yeah, music and dad.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh, well, thank you for jumping on and having a bit of a chat. It's nice to get to know you a little bit more. And, you know, I'm super excited to see upcoming projects and where you... yeah, so congratulations again.